or
And
is it
I'm
just
a
the
wuss
consent
about
agenda?
being cold.
I am getting that way too. My feet get cold. Now,
And then
more
I'm
than
done.
usual.
As soon as my feet are cold, I'm
You
done.
just gotta put the dates there, right?
When my nose gets cold, forget it. I'm done.
God, rub it in.
Yeah, mine's my feet. My feet are cold or wet.
And that they were sent out.
One time I ran back into a party and took a ticket because my socks got wet and I was pissed off. And I was like, that's it. I'm going
right?
back. And they're all like, trying to get a ticket. I don't care. I have wet socks and now I'm mad.
Let's see.
We got I
Hey,
don't think we don't do that right at the beginning.
they haven't signed up. Do we offer them to?
We'll just have an other, and we can do other before we go into closed meeting. Otherwise I can address it on, I have other on my part where we can have questions. Yep.
We were watching this, are we on, or are we at, like, we're not live, right?
I don't think so. Javi, are we live yet? We are now? All right, Brian, we just went live. Cassie emailed me or texted me and said she's running a little bit late.
Okay. There's 4 of us, so 5 of us.
Brian, we're just calling the meeting to order.
All right, ready.
You ready?
Do we wanna let them know or not?
Well, that's,
It's 5 o'clock.
yeah.
I call the meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Cassie Peterson, I think will be here in just a couple of minutes. Brian Leidinger is attending remotely here, and all other members are present. So welcome, everyone. So if anyone wishes to address the board, there's the sign-up sheet there, so go ahead and put your name on that. And we'll get to you in just about a minute. I don't know if there's anyone else out in the hall that was
I think so.
wanting to speak. Okay. Brian, we just have a couple of people who are wanting to address the board, so therefore I'm just having them sign up right now, and then we'll start talking again.
Okay.
If anyone wishes to address the board, we just ask that you go ahead and sign up on the sheet, and then we'll take you in the order that you sign at that table there.
Did anyone else want to sign up?
Keep looking for you. Let me see. Keep looking for you on TV. Let me see.
That's not mine.
Next week,
These are agendas if you want to talk.
this coming? 2 weeks.
Okay.
Have to watch. I'll have to watch.
Okay. Thank you. And Brian Leidinger is appearing by remote. Cassie Peterson, I think, will be joining us in just a couple of moments. All other board members are present. So the first item on our agenda is comments from visitors. Comments from visitors must be in relation to the public schools or to the agenda items. We recommend that you sign up at the comment table if you wish to speak. You'll be called up in the order that you're listed on the agenda. When you come forward, if you want to sit at that table, and then identify your first and last name so we have it for the minutes. And then you are welcome to speak up to 5 minutes. The board will not engage in any sort of discussion or debate during this comment, but we certainly will take information and follow up as appropriate. And then as a part of the board protocol, we ask that everyone keep their comments in a positive tone so as not to slander or engage in any sort of negative debate that we're here for. And so I do see that we have 2 people. If anyone else wishes to sign up, if you want to sign up. First one, Mr. Covington.
Right.
And Angie, I see you laughing, I'm not sure why.
Brian, if you give me the thumbs
Telling
up or
good
down,
jokes there.
once he starts, let me know if you can hear. Okay.
Yeah, and you can spin, so
Yeah.
he can. Let me see.
I think we're on him.
Okay,
Hello, good evening. Doug Covington. We're here in Aiken, been here 3-4 years now. And we have a student in the 8th grade. And we're here over this survey. And part of our problem with this survey is notice was sent out. Apparently, we didn't receive a notice. So, thank God our student Lily had her phone. And when she opened up her laptop and saw these questions, she contacted us right away. This is something we don't agree with. And so we told her, do not answer and leave. We're coming to get you. And so we came and we got her. So in the survey, and you all know the questions, but asking about a kid's sex, asking about their guns in their home, drugs that they're on, home alone, some of these questions, but mostly the problem I have is with the sex stuff. Nasty. If I went out here and asked somebody, I would expect to be arrested for those very questions. So we don't agree with it. We were blindsided by it. Thank God the school did let her go and didn't fight us. But so we're here to figure out where to go next. We were told the school couldn't opt out. They could. And they had told, Lily had left the class, the teacher said that was fine when she went to the office. They told her to go back. And obviously she didn't, and good thing. So anyway, we're so against this. We're 60-year-old grandparents raising a kid. Cindy's aunt, she's the aunt. But not something we agree with, and I guess to be expected probably for our generation. You know, it's not normal. And so anyway, with that said, we've been doing a little homework, and the state on one of these pages here says, unlike prior years, it was decided in 2025 the survey will not be publicly shared. Wonder why? Here it says, person registered your school, agree to comply with basically the agreement that the parents we have to have the opt-out option. If you don't have the opt-out option as legally required, then you will not receive your district school results, and credit your results will not be included. So that should disqualify this school, the survey. That's my opinion. Now we get where Walls is now working to ban private school funding, homeschooling. He wants to take away the funding. Now, why is that? And then I just got here that our Lily did a post. She's kind of, somebody referred to her on X as a 14-year-old whistleblower student from Aiken, kinda goofy. But, so when the school say, you guys do this so you don't lose your funding. So what if somebody come along and offered funding for, put Satan up in the hallway? You get this money. You don't do it, you lose your funding. Well, you gotta do it. According to the mentality here, you gotta do it. Or you lose your money. So I don't buy it. So here we are. How do we move forward? Do we bring our student back? We look at alternative schooling. I'd like the school board somehow to assure us that our child's safe and protected here from this kind of thing and other things. And we're not real comfortable with it. So we're looking for alternatives.
Are you willing to allow us to have those or to either make copies of get those? Cause I'm not familiar with those and
Yeah.
I'm not making the connection of the survey with the funding, so I'd like to just look a little bit more.
He's like really close to his computer.
Oh, did we lose him?
No, he's
No,
there.
he just can't hear,
He's
so we're
just
looking
like,
up his nose.
I can see the homicide profile.
Can you hear us now, Brian?
You can pull that little
Okay.
deal,
Closer.
that little
I
thing
could just,
closer.
we just make
Oh, is that a
copies.
microphone?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you may
Oh,
wanna
yeah.
talk as close as you
Okay.
can to that, cause then
Okay.
everybody can hear.
Okay. But that's really about all I have is, you know, we were blindsided and I think it voids the school's survey according to the law. And, I want to be assured that we don't go through some more of this stuff, you know. If we send our student back, I will definitely make sure she has her phone. Anything comes up that we don't like, call us. We want to know. You know, we moved here, we love Aiken, we want to love this school. You know, we really do. And Lily's a bright kid, she's a good girl, and she's got friends. We want to be a part of it. But like I say, I signed on to protect her, and it was a big deal. I expect the same. And we don't feel we got that. So, and like I say, ask these questions out on the street, you go to prison. So, that's all I got. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for the information. We'll look into this and talk a little bit further. We're obviously not gonna discuss any private individual student stuff in a public meeting, right?
Thank you.
So, but we will, take a look at this. We've got the information, so, thank you. Jeff Young Jr.
All right. I'm Jeff Young. I currently have 4 students in your school district. I'm in the same boat as he is. My problem with it is I wouldn't want my neighbor to walk up to my children and ask them, who do you want to have sex with? At any age. That to me is a really nasty question for anybody to come ask. And like he made the point, if a whole bunch of businesses came into your school and said, here's the deal, I will cut you a check, pay for all your stuff, but I want to know the sexual orientation of all your students. Would you be comfortable giving that to a business? If your answer is no, why is it comfortable for you to give it to the state? What do they need that information for? To me, the question should be more like, do you have a place that you can go talk about your gender questions? Do you have a place that you feel safe to go talk about your sexual orientation questions? If my son, daughter, or whatever would like to go talk to somebody and they feel safe to talk about the questions that are on that survey privately with an adult that they trust, that is a whole new topic than blanketly questioning students what their sexual orientation is at any age. Other things that I will see is there's a whole bunch of things that say integrity all over your school. Fair? Is it integrity to blindside parents with information.
So you didn't receive the
I
letter
did not
either?
receive a letter. The first time I saw the letter is when we came to the school, and I appreciate everything that you did and to help figure this out. And I'm hoping that that's what we can do, is move forward, like he said, and I'm saying, and figure this out as best we can moving forward. I don't know how much time frame you guys got ahead of time on when this came out, but we feel like we weren't notified in advance, far in advance. We could have got something at the beginning of the school year. You guys should have got something at the beginning of the school year saying that this was coming, not a month before it happened or a couple months. Why the push to it's almost like the state pushed to keep it quiet. Not to allow you guys even the ample time to allow us parents to know what's going on, that you had to rush to get a small letter out for us to figure this out. And why is it an opt-in versus an opt-out? I have to sign a thing saying that they don't have to take the survey, not that they do have to take the survey. Is that something they provided or something the school provided? To me, I should be opting in to give out personal information of my child. You state that it's anonymous, and I'm okay with that, sort of. Some of those questions are criminal. Have you been forced to have sex with somebody? Would that not be criminal acts? So if somebody answered yes, you guys wouldn't do nothing about it? The state wouldn't step in and go, hey, I saw 9 surveys that look like abuse or sexual problems with some of your students. I would like to figure out a way we can talk to them so we can get to the bottom of that. But it's anonymous, so they can't do that. But my other biggest problem is if they say they can't, I don't know if they can or can't. I'm not going to get into that ballpark. But their definition of abuse and mine is a far different story. The state's definition of abuse is if I do not allow my child to go get chemicals to change his sex. If they seem that as abuse on that survey, would they try to get to the bottom of it? That is where my problems lie. Because then they would try to take away all 4 of my children if we couldn't have a conversation about it. Because he can technically come to any teacher, anybody else, or a doctor now, according to the state, and say that he does not feel comfortable in his body, and they can now legally come and take my children away, and then they call me an abuser, and I may not even have any idea what the heck is going on. And this survey panders to that, in my personal opinion. Because they're asking questions that have to do with that law that they passed. So that is why I made a big deal about this. I did pull my student out, and what we did was talked about what was on that survey. And he blatantly said, I had no idea how to even look at the first question of what is your gender. It was so stinking confusing, I had no idea what half of these things were. What is your sexual orientation? He understands sort of what that is, but didn't know what that was, to an extent. What would you like to do after you grow up? It's funny, trade school was not on there. I've done construction for 20-some years. I've made a pretty good living. My father's made a pretty good living. They talk about wanting equality. That's not on there. And that's stuff that doesn't have to do with the sexual stuff and everything else, but to me, it's not. It's a blanket agenda to me. And that's where I have the problem with the survey. And that's pretty much what I have to say about it. So I appreciate you guys listening, and I hope we can move forward to figure some way to get either more information about it or safer questions that don't feel like they're attacking the students or pushing sexual agendas. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Anyone else? Anyone else? Last chance. Thank you. Okay, is there an approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Hauser, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Lindrum. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Is that an aye or a nay?
Brian, she's talking to you, I think.
Aye.
Okay. There was about a 3-second delay. I'll try to not talk so fast. All members, motion passes with all members voting yes. Okay, scheduled presentation, student council.
Don't see student council here.
All right, Caleb Zazbita, senior project.
I did share a little bit with the board what Caleb's senior project is. I'm not gonna steal his thunder. I'll let him take it from here.
Hi, my name's Caleb Zazmita. I'm a senior here at Aiken High School. For my senior project, we were told to find something that we wanted to change. And I looked in our school to hopefully try and better it. And that day I went down to lunch at the senior commons and I looked at the tables and chairs in there and they're starting to fall apart. Some of the bases on the tables need to be repaired or are past the point of repair. You can go look in our lunchroom commons right by our new entryway. Everything's really nice, looks really good. I think it's a very good representation of our school and district. So I'd like to do the same with our senior commons. They're used a lot during the school day and after the school days at sporting events. They're right in front of the concession stands. So I would like to request to fundraise. I'm gonna fundraise from local businesses around town. I've done this a couple times before for different reasons. The amount I have to fundraise is $5,400. 2,300, any of that is chairs. 1,445 of that is the table bases, and 1,445 of that is the tabletops. And then $130 for a sign that will be displayed in the senior commons that will show all the businesses that have donated to help get these new tables and chairs. They're going to be sourced from the Office Shop, which was recommended by Steve Snyder. And that's about all I have to say.
Sounds like a great project.
So are you just gonna go and ask businesses for donations, or are you gonna put out jars so that community members would also be able to donate?
That's a great idea. Community members will be able to donate too, if willing or wanting to, but I'm gonna really focus on the businesses around town, just purely due to the advertising that's gonna be available. Your name's gonna be on the plaque in the senior commons.
Maybe bring a thing with a Venmo or
Yeah,
something that could
yeah.
add, so that once we donate as businesses, we can put that up, and then if
Yeah.
our customers wanna donate to that
For
too,
sure.
then they would be able to.
Yeah,
So would this project be just, fixing and replacing the existing furniture? Or would
it'd be
adding to
completely
it?
new.
New furniture?
Yeah, there'd be a total of 4 brand new tables. They're 42 by 42 inches wide, or we can opt for a smaller one that's 36 by 36.
Does that seem like it's sufficient for the use that's in that area?
Yeah, and if wanted, some of the tables and chairs in there are still usable, so they still can be used.
Okay.
But
That just answered my question.
And I just have one more question too. Is there a certain threshold that you're looking for as far as and to be able to be named on the plaque?
not necessarily. I would kind of want to consult a little more, maybe see what businesses are willing to donate and then develop a threshold. I'm going to guess it's going to be around $200 at least.
Okay.
And we did recommend the Office Shop, because we've had pretty good luck with their furniture in some other areas. When we looked at other vendors, we purchased some other vendors, it seems like those are the chairs down in Steve Snyder's office more often. So, the Office Shop, whatever their line, I can't remember their line, has held up better to students. So,
Caleb, how will you pick out which furniture you're going to purchase?
I consulted the main furniture guy at the Office Shop, and he recommended these tables and chairs that I have quoted right here. He said that they're going to be the best for where we're putting them.
Are they high top or?
Yes,
low
they're
top
high
or
top.
variety?
They're high top. We could get low top, but he recommended the high top, and that's what we have in there. And the ones that we have in the lunchroom, a lot of them are high top around the end.
Could you consider maybe a low top table so it's accessible for others?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Make sure you stop and see me.
So when we do these, do we, because the last one that went put together, we just did. Do we approve these? Is that how we do that? Is that, or do we just give a, hey, it sounds cool, let's do it?
So typically there is, do you want me to answer?
Yeah, but
So typically there is a list of board-approved fundraising activities that is sort of a
Yearly thing,
reoccurring
yep.
yearly one that we do. And so then I think it's probably just because it's part of the senior project, right? You're wanting to come in and
Yeah.
I think specifically with soliciting business because businesses do get requested so much. Right?
Yeah.
So do you want a motion
so we
that
could do a
can-
motion just supporting his efforts, not saying, supporting.
I'll
Caleb's
make a
efforts to
motion
do-
supporting Caleb's senior project.
I'll second.
Motion by Holly, second by Jen. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with all members voting
No,
yes.
Brian, did you get a vote in? You in favor of that, or?
Thumbs up, Brian.
Yep, all
Thumbs
right,
up
we
from
got it.
Jen.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Okay, just so you know,
Yeah,
if it doesn't come together, you're not responsible for coming up with.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to make it clear that when we made the motion, I was just like, oh, I gotta raise, if I don't have $5,000, I gotta rob my penny bank, but.
I think it's a great project, and I actually sort of anticipate that you may end up with more. And we are certainly willing to donate as well, so.
Okay.
We just, probably if you wanna keep in communication on, when we get questions on where people can submit the money, I think that's gonna be a common question, so.
Perfect.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
I
guys.
appreciate
I'll match Jen.
It's on, yeah.
He's like, I'm not gonna need businesses. These two are gonna fight it out.
Facts are kind of following a little bit better.
Okay, old business, is there approval of the policy second reading, open meeting, closed meeting, public participation, development, adoptions, implementation for policies, code of ethics, conflict of interest, criminal or civil action against the school district, etc. Those are, policy 205, 206, 208, 209, 210, 211, this is the second reading.
Yeah, and they were just because we needed to do them
Yep,
again,
just part of
so
the rotation too of reviewing policies.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Motion by Holly, is there a second? Second by Don, any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with all members voting yes. New business, we have a motion to approve the consent agenda item, and I would note that on the school board meeting minutes that, that covers January 13th and February 3rd minutes.
Yeah, we missed adding the minutes to that
The
bullet
dates,
point.
yeah.
So, we'll get those added.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Don, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Cassie, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes with all members voting yes. Okay, so that gets us down to 8B. Committee assignments. When we met last month, we typically do the committee assignments for the remainder of the calendar year, and we inadvertently missed that,
Yep.
so,
So Heather and Renee went through,
yeah.
went through and highlighted who's on what committees. Take a look at where you're at, if you wanna swap or change committees. Sometimes it's good if you're on different committees, sometimes it's nice to have, from my standpoint, sometimes it's nice to have a little history on the committee too, if somebody's, been there for a few go-arounds, so,
Should we just go through each one, maybe?
Yeah.
Facilities and finance, we have Don, Rollin, and Brian. You guys okay with that, or any changes?
Brian's good.
Transportation, Rollin and Jen. Meet and confer, Don and Cassie. You guys okay with that? Negotiations of the certified staff, Don, Jen, and Brian. Non-certified, Holly, Cassie, and me.
Yep.
Okay. Personnel committee, Brian, Cindy, Rolland. Okay. Title I advisory, Cassie and Brian.
That one has been discontinued.
Okay.
I
Was it
know that
replaced with
Brian and
any?
I get notifications when there's PTO
Okay.
meetings, and I know that Brian has attended more than me, but yeah, I had contacted Kathy earlier in the year asking just about meetings, and she said that with it changing up a little bit, that they didn't necessarily have a committee anymore.
Okay. All right, agricultural advisory, Brian, Rollin, and Cassie. Community ed, Brian, Holly, Jen.
Yep.
Continuing education, Don.
I don't think we've ever had a meeting, have we, Andy?
Continuing ed, they meet if something comes up as far as licensure purposes, or if
Yeah.
we need to make a decision district-wide.
I'm happy to stay on there for as
So
often as they
you might
meet.
lose your spot and you say that you haven't met, but,
Maybe you missed it.
yeah.
The AIPAC, Don and Rolland.
Good.
Okay. Wellness committee, Jen, Cindy, Holly.
Yep.
Safety is Brian.
Okay,
District-wide continuous improvement, staff development, Holly, Don, Rolland.
Yeah, have we ever had, I've never been to a meeting for that.
yep, and this will become active as it's been the world's best workforce
Oh.
report part of it.
Okay,
So with that report changing in the future, we'll
have to
haven't
be,
dug into it, we'll probably meet to see what our plan is or to
Yep.
run it by, so.
Policy committee, Cindy and Holly.
yep,
Interagency, with the State High School League, Brian. LEA is just you.
Yeah,
Infinity, curriculum, Brian, Holly, and Jen.
yep,
And then the Paul Bunyan Co-op, Dan and I are on that. And then the Education Foundation, Brian and I are on that, and that's another one that I don't know. It hasn't met for quite a
right.
while.
So we met maybe last fall, we didn't have a
Okay.
quorum. The current chair of that's looking to get off of that committee, he was going to, we haven't got back together, since then, so. I don't know that you can, as a school board member, or I as a superintendent, can chair it, but we can be on the committee. So
Okay.
we're looking for a new chairperson.
Are there any other ones? You had mentioned the PTO.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like community ed, just open to anyone.
Okay. Any,
curriculum
else?
coming up, do we have any new curriculum coming up?
ELA's in review right now.
Is what?
ELA's in
Oh,
review.
English language arts is in the process of reviewing, and then science is the next one. No, we just did.
We just did science, that's why, cause we're
Social
assigned to science,
studies.
math, and SEL, so I didn't know if you wanted to assign us to the new curriculums.
I think the English is happening, or starting to happen now, and then social studies will be the next one. So, if you just wanna be the three of the on the committee, and then.
And pick
once
up
the next
whatever
one's
one.
called, we can determine if you're good with that.
Yep,
If that's a special interest, or maybe you're the one that's available.
but were there any committees that, anyone wanted to add to their list? Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion to approve the committee assignments for, this, calendar year?
I'll make a motion to approve the committee assignments.
Motion by Holly, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Cassie, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with all members voting yes. Thank you. Okay, where are we at? right, okay, next, adopt a resolution directing the superintendent to make recommendations for adjustments in curriculum program staff for the following school year if needed. That's a typical,
It's a year, usually a yearly thing, and as we do registration and look at upcoming enrollment, it just gives us flexibility if we have a decrease in either funding, which we've talked about, or decrease in enrollment, that allows us to place people on a leave.
is there a motion?
I'll
make
make-
a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Jen, second by Holly, any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with all members voting yes. Next is approve the resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of the probationary teachers due to being out of field placement on their license or a tier 1 license.
This is a statute requirement that we have to terminate their contracts at the end of this year. We have to post the positions for up to 60 days, and if we don't get applicants for those positions in 60 days, then these people working on either tier 1 or the out of field placement. We do it earlier, one, just so we can, our staff knows in 60 days, we'll know in 60 days if we have somebody licensed for the positions, and then we can, if not, we can hire our staff back. So it just kind of gives, and if they don't have a spot, then it gives them the opportunity to find a job elsewhere as well. So.
And I think the collective bargaining agreements require this be done by March 1st, right? Yeah, so.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Holly, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jen, any discussion?
You know, I just say, I hate this
I know.
process. It really is, because these are good people, and they've committed themselves to working here and being with our students, and so I hate the process. And it leaves people in this very weird place about not knowing if they have a job or not have a job. And so, also recognize that we have to do it.
Yeah. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries with all members voting yes. Okay, approve policy 522.
Yep, and can I jump in?
Yeah,
So this is reverting back to the 2020 policy. In the July of 24, there was some additions on the investigation process and who all was investigated. Well, now it's reverted back to the previous policy of 2020. I tried to find the strikeout, the red strikeout policy on MSBA, but all they said is just revert back to your 2020 policy. So when I emailed them saying, hey, what changes, because it's a long policy, they said basically it has to do with the investigation, and the wording in that is changed, so. And we can do this in one meeting because it's just a minor change.
and it's consistent with what
MSBA
is
is telling them.
recommending, yeah.
And because we approved it and that this is same form
Yes,
in
I got the email
2020.
saying, hey, if you haven't approved that one yet from last summer, don't. If you have to rescind, and we did approve it in July, so,
There we go for being on top of stuff.
yeah.
So do we have to make a motion to rescind the old one and then put this
I
one
think
in
just we're
place?
gonna approve this version of the policy.
Yeah, I don't
This
think we
will
would
just
have
take
to
its place,
resend it,
yeah.
I think we can
Okay.
just go with the,
As it's written,
It's just updated.
and it's
Well,
already updated.
I'll move that we approve the policy, the 2020 version.
motion by Don, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Holly, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with all members voting yes. Okay, board member reports. Okay, committee reports. Safety committee.
Brian, do you wanna, you were at that, do you wanna jump in or want me to take it?
Why don't you cover it, cause
Okay.
now it can be easy for me
All right.
to speak to the group.
Okay, so we had basically talked about work comp cases, we had 3 work comp cases. We talked about the, safety elevators and lockdowns. We're looking at having, right now our elevators still in the high school, still runs in a lockdown. So we're looking at we're set up to add key card access to the elevator. We just don't have the actual device we need in the elevator. So we're looking into getting key card access to our elevator, which would apply all day, every day long. So if a kid actually needs elevator, we can give them a key card, and that'll help us keep kids who don't need the elevator from taking a ride on it. But then at that point, it'll be hooked to our lockdown system. So if we go into lockdown, the elevator stops.
You get locked in the elevator?
Well, I take you to the next floor. And then
So you can just go in it then, right? Anybody? How did we used to do it back? I thought there was a lock on it way
it
back.
might have changed because we tried to fire marshal evacuation plans don't allow us to lock it until now lockdowns for safety reasons.
We might have
supersedes
been
that.
just told not to go on there.
And you listened.
Yeah, that might have happened.
We were
that way.
given
And then the other thing, we're asked, the city did a nice job of getting, crossing signs for 210 and 169, people have asked where they're at. We got them, I'm not sure if we got all the components of it, but, they won't be put up until the spring. That'll be crossing signs on 210 out here and 169 over by Rippleside. So those are, it's a done deal with the exception of getting them put up.
What's that key card cost access?
It's reasonable. I don't have the dollar amount in front of me.
Okay.
We're working with we had a couple of other options and that seemed to be the most reasonable one.
Okay.
Okay, finance and facilities?
Want me to keep going?
Sure.
We've talked about our budget adjustments. I did the same presentation or similar presentation for that committee as I did at the board meeting. And then just remind everybody there, we're building work session as far as what our plans moving forward for February 24th. Mr. Vanasek brought up that the curtains in the auditorium will have to be not by February 26th, but by 2026. Their fire retardant certification is up in February of 2026. So either we got to take them down and have them retreated for fire protection, or we need to look into what replacing them would cost. So, yeah,
Anything else?
I think that's it on that one.
All right, Mr. Dockin?
We're busy back in the middle of winter, so wishing for warm weather so we can get out for recess, but lots of good things going on. So.
Okay. Ms. Tamars?
Yeah, Mr. May, Mr. Smith took the Knowledge Bowl team to Staples on January 17th, and 2 teams placed out of the 24 teams that competed. So it was really fun. Of course, Mr. May words it way better than I do, but we had 1 team place 4th and 1 team place 2nd, and so they did a fantastic job. They go again this Friday as a whole group for their last competition, and then from there, different teams move on based on how they place. So
Well, there's
good luck to
24
them.
teams?
What?
24? Is that what
There
you
were
said?
24 high school teams that competed, and one of our teams got 4th and one got 2nd. So it was a pretty good honor.
Cool.
And there's some younger, I'm not sure who placed, but I know last year it was younger, maybe freshmen maybe that did so well, so.
We have a 9th and 10th grade group that
Yeah,
placed
yeah.
4th, and then our second place, Xander Peterson, Will Henline, Reese Wentland, and Elliot Christensen.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, they did well last year
great.
too.
They did great. It was super fun. BPA plays lots of different things. When they went on January 22nd to Detroit Lakes, 16 students competed in 13 different events. 15 students advanced to the state in 11 events. So it was wonderful.
Wow.
So lots of 1st and 2nd and 3rd and 4th places. So super fun for them. And I sent you guys my board report because there's pictures in there so that you can see the groups of kids and their names and everything, so I'm not gonna read all of that because it might take like 15 minutes. But they did a really, really good job. Health careers class, Mr. Carlson does that. 11 students are in that. They take 3 days a week, 3 to 5 times a week, they go over to Riverwood Healthcare Center and they kind of just immerse themselves in a certain area. So they, one goal for the class, Mr. Carlson said, was to help students explore different health careers along with funneling 18 graduates back to Riverwood. And so this is kind of a partnership class between Riverwood and Aiken High School. And so every year we get about 11 to 15 kids that take the class, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a long standing, it's 20 years probably
Yeah,
that
I
they've done
would
it,
say
so.
it's been a while. Agricultural Mechanics received a $5,000 grant from the Northeast Service Cooperative for 8 advanced electronics training kits for agricultural mechanics, and so Mr. DePaul was super excited about that. And so he has 2 pictures in there of the 2 engines that we so you might, if you're into engines, that might be super cool. They look really cool. But yeah, kudos to them. He has really done a nice job with our small engines and welding classes and our egg program and FFA, so he's really growing those really well. Kids really enjoy the classes.
Are they engines or motors?
Engines.
Okay.
I think he does have, but he says, I don't know.
I'm just kidding, just forget it, just
He's
don't
picking
take
it.
me. Don't take
Middle
me,
school
that's cool.
counselor, student council is doing Valentine themes games on Friday during middle school lunch. And then they have a dance coming up on March 7th. Last Friday, we had a pet fest. And the senior girls dance is going to state,
Yes.
this Friday and Saturday for Jazz and Kick. And so we're gonna stream that here, so kids can watch the dances. But, the girls grabbed different senior boys and they practiced during lunch and they put on this wonderful dance for the kids. And so it was super fun. So if you get a chance to watch, it's on the TV. So if you
And that was part of
walk by.
the snowball
Yep,
stuff,
at
right?
the-
Yeah, they did a great job
The
with
finale
that.
snowball. So
Mhm.
Mr. Richters and I got pie in the face for not knowing physics and space trivia questions, but Levi Berg created the questions and they were very hard. Mrs. James, we were like, can we phone a friend? But it was fun. The kids had a really good time. They had mattress races, so we had each grade level, 2 kids from each grade level that were on blow-up mattresses trying to slide across the gym floor so that they can go back. So they had to do this running jump so that they jump on the mattress and push themselves forward and then get up, and it was just fun and kids were cheering and it was a really good day. Gobbler Grill, the restaurant, opens tomorrow. And so that is from 12 to 1. Tuesday through Friday. Mondays are their prep days, so they don't have the restaurant open on Mondays. But Tuesday
Open to the
through
public
Friday,
tomorrow?
They start opening
Okay.
tomorrow. Yep, to the public. They worked practice on us last
Yeah.
week and the week before, so it's been fantastic. Their chocolate chip cookies are really good. And then January 29th, the Spanish class went to Authentic Mexican Restaurant to practice their Spanish speaking skills.
Oh, fun.
And they had a really good time. And then we had National Counselor Week last week. So thank you to Meredith and Sammy for all they do. And for Counselor Appreciation Week, and then
And
we
Julie
are going
Jensen,
to do a
right?
sibling lunch on Friday for Valentine's Day. So we are gonna invite the 9th through 12th grade students to come and eat lunch with their 7th and 8th grade, or if they have siblings in 9, 10, 11, 12, they can come during the 7, 8 lunch and eat with their siblings if they choose to. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So that's all I have.
We're doing mini mayhem lunch on Friday too at Riverside. And the girls dance team's coming over Thursday, I believe.
fun, yeah, they're pretty excited.
Yep.
Their competition was really cool to watch.
Yeah.
Thank you. Community Ed?
I don't have an update, and Laura's out today.
Okay, superintendent's report.
Jump, couple things here, student enrollment stayed steady at 932 from last month, so we're holding our own there. That's really the enrollment update I have, or the update I have there. A couple of other things, one, on the consent agenda, I didn't wanna let this slide by. Irma did, submit her letter of retirement, or resignation today, to retire from teaching and well, everybody here I think knows Irma. She's one of the kindest, gentlest people you might ever meet. So our district will miss her, but congratulations to Irma. And thanks for the many years of just taking care of a lot of people, well above and beyond teaching Spanish. So yeah. But
It was
good for-
sad to see her resignation in that.
I know it was tough for her too. It was, she didn't come to the decision easily, but.
Is that
I did
at the
not
end
tell
of
my
the year?
kids.
Is that at the end of the year?
Yeah, it'll be at the end of the year.
Okay.
Yeah, she will be sadly missed, won't she? She's just really an incredible person.
Yep.
Yes, she is.
So, and then address a little bit on the issue that came up that we talked about, that the families talked about. It kept the board informed on that. Just some information. The survey has been happening since the late 1980s. Last time around, over 80% of the schools participated in the survey. The school districts, we could have opted out, but I brought it to the board in September, I believe, saying, hey, are we interested in going forward with this? We talked about a number of board meetings. We did send out a letter. It was also in the high school parent newsletter, the online version, that it was in October, talking about the survey as well. I apologize if somebody didn't get a letter, didn't get notification. That was never our intent. And as far as the funding goes with it's not a direct tide of funding necessarily, but it's where we can apply for with the county, or the county can apply for on our behalf for different grants and different funding to provide programming based on some of the data that they collect in the survey. An example where it did impact, we're trying to do some legislation with the city and county as far as vaping, and vaping has become I don't know if you will, as you all know, the new smoking or chewing, but to try to do some limitations on the vapes, and it worked against us because we didn't do the survey last time around, so it looked like the number of kids vaping in Aiken County dropped drastically from, was it 2016 to 2019, and that the data was used against the county in their grant application, and the grant was denied. So I know there's other situations and other times where I believe, but that's just one example where I got more involved with. So down the road, if 3 years the board, we decide to do it again, we'll have to look at other options, better options, more options of getting information out. I don't want, regardless of what people think or say, I don't want families to feel like we're putting them in a bad spot or an awkward spot. And you know, we did check with both buildings, and even if kids hadn't opted out, if they didn't feel comfortable doing the test or the survey, they could step out, or they could skip questions. And I did notify the MDE that, you know, we have concerns about questions asked, and that they just need to know that. And but you get a phone call back. I just haven't had a chance to call them back on it. So
I suppose those questions that survey would probably be pretty rigid. In other words, we couldn't like remove questions out of it. I mean, that might be something in 3 years we ask.
Right.
You know, is there something that, you know, we do a deeper dive of it, and then look at it and just see if there's others that, some of it that can, and again, I'm not saying any of it would have been removed from this board, but there's just things to look at, and then board members can talk to community people about it.
Right.
You know, things like that.
Can I flesh all of your comments out a little bit?
Yes.
So the survey comes from the state.
MDE.
And
Minnesota
then
Department of Education.
they ask all school districts, do you know public, private, charter, everybody?
Yep, well, public charter, I believe would be asked, I'm not sure on
For
private.
sure,
Yeah.
okay. And then it's optional for the schools to decide,
Right,
right?
yep,
And I think our district has done it every year with the exception of one going back to like the eighties, is that
Yeah.
correct?
as far as I know, I don't believe that we've opted out any time other.
I remember
than last
taking
year.
it and parents being concerned about the question, so that's how I do remember it. And so we don't have to do it.
Do not have to.
We do not get any funding specifically as a direct line item either for taking it or not taking it. But the results then are tallied by the state, right?
Yep,
And they are distributed in aggregate form to the counties
yep,
and public health specifically.
yep, so
Right?
yep,
And then public health then uses that aggregate data to see if there's any prevention programs in their community service area,
yeah,
right? And then because last year or last time we didn't do it, you're saying then public health was not able to access grants to be able to help students in our community.
it made it more challenging for them. I won't say they weren't able to, but look, our statistics countywide look better, and let's just say instead of having, I don't know, 80 kids countywide, I don't know if that's the right number, I'm making it up, all right, 80 kids vaping, we only showed 15, but we're only getting data from Hill City and McGregor, where we have more students here than those two do combined. So
And those
we're-
are the three school
Three
districts.
school districts in the county.
For our county,
Yeah.
so then it's reported by county data.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so if we didn't take part,
Right,
it's looking like,
yep. And
far
we
less
couldn't
students.
show- and we
Okay.
didn't have any
Excuse
data to
the
show that
data.
situation.
okay. And I just have a few more questions and then, cause I just wanna get it right.
Yep, yeah, that's good.
And so we do not get any funding either for doing it
No.
or for not doing it,
No,
right?
Not directly.
But public health
Yeah.
may be able to access grant money that they would then use if they came in to the county school districts
Yes.
of our three districts, right?
Yep.
Okay, and then, let me see, what else do I have? How was the notice given out to parents? Was it email, was it?
Sent in the mail.
Okay,
and
so
the posting
mail.
up.
And
then-
so
yep.
if a student has like, parents that are not in the same
Mm-hmm.
household, does that letter go out to both families then?
It went out to both families. yes,
First
both
class,
It came 2 days after we made the thing, I will say that. We voted yes on Monday, and on Wednesday,
No.
three were in my mailbox.
what I'm
so-
saying is first class,
Is
so
bulk
we'll
mail
get,
first class?
we would get it back if it didn't get to, if it was rejected. I don't think and that's something to follow up on.
Yeah.
If it was third class just because of bulk, because it was mailed for cheaper, we wouldn't probably get the returns. So,
So if
yeah,
somebody,
so you wanna check into that next.
if a family did not receive it, then they should be double checking to make sure that the address that we have
Which
on
they did,
file
yep, they did, and they said
is
it's accurate, right?
correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
But still, if there's something happen, it can happen with the mail. It could happen with the mail, and if it didn't get in there,
And I assume it went out bulk mail, right? That's what our.
We do get returned mail.
okay.
We do.
Okay, well, then it's going out in a classification that we do get it
So
back.
then it's administered like in everybody's homeroom or something like that?
It was administered, can I answer that?
Yeah.
Yeah, social studies classes, right?
In fifth grade, it was administered in the fifth grade classes, all at the same time.
Okay.
In, let's see now.
Eighth
I'm
and
trying to
10th.
remember what grades took it.
8 and 9.
Grade,
Ninth and
Mr.
11th.
Smith, Mr. Smith's, social studies class did it during their social study hour in eighth grade. In ninth grade, Mrs. Steffens did it in science during their ninth grade class. And then in 11th grade, Mr. Richters did it in his 11th grade social studies class.
And then, so those are all like, are they paper surveys? It's
They
on
were
a
It was-
computer?
It was
Online.
computer.
Okay, and so then that just, it comes from the state,
The state
It's on
sent
a
us a link
computer.
and
Okay.
a code. The kids didn't put their names or anything in. It was just a link that they clicked on and then it just had to say Aiken High School and a code.
And there's different surveys for each of those
Each grade
grades
level.
that would be
Different questions for
determined
each
to
grade
be age-appropriate
Yep.
type questions.
Yep.
So a fifth grader is not receiving the same questions that an 11th grader is receiving,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
And the state
And
is,
if anybody
and
wants
this,
a copy of the questions, they can call me and I can send them. 2 days before we administered the survey, the state sent out an email, or the day before, I can't
was
remember,
the day
if it was 2
before.
days or the day before, said, the survey questions are no longer, private. You can share these with people, so then I shared those with the teachers that were administering it, so they at least had questions, they knew what was on the test, and so, some of the fifth grade teachers read the questions to the kids, just because it's not read to them
And I
like
think
MCAs are.
I think it opened up,
They
as
should
a,
be private.
once the survey was like opened up to give, then they allowed, for whatever reason, they said, okay, the survey can now be shared with whoever. Well, that was a day,
Yeah.
maybe 2 days, but it was right before.
Originally, they could view it in my office, if they came to the school, they could view it that way.
and then students that are taking this could still choose to not take it, right? So even if a parent said it was okay to do and a child didn't want to, they could choose to not take
We
it.
actually had it the other way around, where there were a couple 11th grade students that really wanted to take it, their parents had opted them out.
Okay, and they
Um,
were not, they did
were
not take it
allowed.
then?
Nope.
Okay.
No, we just go by what the parents want.
And if a child wants to decline and not answer a specific question, they're given that?
Yep.
They can,
So, the fifth grade teachers actually went through they projected it on the board as they were reading it, and they could go through and not answer anything.
okay,
So basically, you could read it and look at the questions and not answer anything, and then you were done.
okay,
So you didn't have to answer anything.
okay.
And they can answer those questions. I was talking to some former students and they answered them like, it wasn't as truthful as what they said. So I mean, there you get all that.
It's
You know,
skewed
they-
data.
I just kind of look at it all. And, you know, even the part about the vaping, we could have utilized, the state could have, or the county, just whoever could have utilized adjoining rural counties and picked the data up for vaping, and it would have probably been the same as what Aiken County was, even though we didn't do it, and we should have been able to use it for other, you know, for grant or whatever, like the county would
I
have. You
remember
would think they would. We shouldn't have been punished from that, because the data is still there. There's enough data there to get an accurate sampling of what it is.
I do remember somebody from public health coming sometime in the last 10 years when I was on the board and talking about the process, what it looks like on their end, what funding and what grants they can apply for, and how it affects their ability to do
I
that.
get it.
So, Holly.
I do want to say that we were requested and asked this time to please give the survey by the county. They were really pushing that since we missed the last one. So it wasn't like we sought this out. They sought us out, and we are the messenger to their survey. And I feel like sometimes parents should be asking questions at Health and Human Services, because they have the answers that we don't. As you said, you didn't see it till 2 days before, which seems completely crazy to me. If these are just Common Core, get your information questions, then why the secrecy? That seems awkward and weird, and that is something that maybe at school districts, now that we have to be the ones to administer this, should be like, that doesn't make any sense. You're asking for what you consider public data anonymously. Why could we not be sharing that earlier in the year?
My hunch is that it's whoever is the third party administrator who's coordinating the release of the survey and then collecting it and reporting it back. Me having been involved with surveying and even doing surveys on behalf of the state, my guess is it goes back to like the logistics of the third party who's doing the survey.
Well, maybe we file a complaint on that on our end, that that's not enough time for us to give out information for parents who would maybe want to review it and opt their children out. And then it's becoming a problem on our end. And if they want us to keep participating because it's worthy a cause since the 80s for them, then they need to adjust their parameters on our end for that.
Don?
So, in the previous 3 years, when we opted to not do the survey, I was sitting on the Aiken County Health and Human Services Advisory Council. And it became an extremely difficult situation for Health and Human Services in Aiken County, because when you write a grant, they want specific information about your community. And they can break that information down by school, not by individual student, but by school and community. And so as they were writing those grants, they really needed that targeted data to be able to access. So we lost out on a significant amount of money. The community did, not the school. The community lost out on a significant amount of grant money because we didn't do the survey.
So they didn't know what the issues were then, so how do we know that they missed out?
I think that they
had previous grant rounds that they had done in the past, that when they went to do those grants again, they couldn't renew the grant because they didn't have the information.
I'm sure that there's some sort of a criteria of, I mean, there's not
There
enough
always
money
is.
to go to everybody, right? And so it's gonna be, this community has a high rate of suicide, this community
Right.
has a high rate of teen pregnancy, this community has a high rate of whatever, right? So I'm sure that when we didn't have it, when we had
When we
a
didn't have it.
decrease in numbers, they're not going to give us that money. Because
One
it
of
looks like
Our
it's a
program
decrease.
was working.
One of the,
That's what
one
it
of the
says to that.
issues that our community has is that we have a very high per capita rate of suicide, whether it is, it doesn't matter the age, but in particular teen suicide. But without that targeted mental health data that those questions would answer, it was difficult for them to get.
Well, I think the
Suicide
data
prevention money.
it's the social, I'm lost for the word, it's,
Stigma.
yeah, or it's what is on top of their minds when they deal with it, because they have the suicide data. I mean,
They have they can
mean,
access the suicide data.
I
What they
mean,
can't
yeah,
access,
because I mean, that's an event.
but what they can't access is where our students are at in their thinking along suicide
Yeah,
and mental
yeah.
health.
And I'm sure it's rated by a certain
Yes.
number as the, you know, what most likelihood of where that could be. I get that, and that's what I was getting at, and that's probably a critical number to have. And things like that, those are things to have. The bullying questions I like, you know, I mean, we need to have that information. There was cyberbullying, I mean, there's that, which is a big deal right now. You know, all that stuff, so.
Jen?
I think that moving forward, before we do any sort of surveys of the students, we should just make it our policy that the day before we send a text message or a phone call like you send out for announcement, so that if somebody didn't get the letter, there's a fallback for that, and it can go to Infinite Campus as well. I know these questions are very personal, and I just want to speak to you saying like they sound criminal, and I think it's important to take in context of who's asking them, and maybe it's not appropriate for the Minnesota Department of Education to do this on behalf of the Minnesota Department of Health to target these areas. You know, working in healthcare, I ask these questions in the exam room, but it would be highly inappropriate for me to ask a cashier these questions in public, right? So I think we have to take it in the context of where this is happening and who's administering this. The questions, though, to some are definitely shocking. These are real world issues that our kids are facing. Having worked in primary care, I've seen these children who don't know what to do, don't know who to go to, and they are feeling suicidal, and it's heartbreaking. Being able to bring these topics forward to kids might be a door opener for them to talk to somebody about it. Like, you know, I answered that question
Ms. Demars and I really would like to talk about that, and maybe it helps some kids, and for others, it maybe introduces them to topics they don't need to know or don't know anything about. So there's pros and cons to it, definitely from both sides, but I think that making sure that parents are getting the notification so they can decide if they want their student taking that test, and then allowing people to come in and see the surveys prior to that is the way to go with this, and then contacting the Minnesota Department of Education on how to change those questions if they can be dropped down. What's your gender? Are you comfortable asking this? Yes or no? If yes, click the box and they get a drop down. If no, next section. So I don't know how to change that. I don't know. Kids know way more than I do, than we think that they do. I'm sorry that this happened to you and your family and to the other family. I wish that wouldn't have happened that way. I guess that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Are we supposed to raise our hands when we talk? No, and I appreciate those comments on that, yeah.
You wanna see Brian?
Yeah, well, Brian gets mad at me when I talk.
Any other discussion or questions? Okay, nothing, okay.
I do, can I just wanna say, I really wish we would have been able to review those questions. I feel bad that parents feel blindsided by the questions of this survey and the content of it. And, yeah, I personally feel I wasn't able to do a good job with making a decision on that issue, and I doubt some of those questions were on this survey in the 80s or even the 90s, and probably even the last time this survey was done. But I think they need to really look at those questions. I don't think it's a survey issue of this type. I don't agree with offering those questions to minors in a school setting. And I understand it relates to funding for the health department, but I'm not sure why schools are obligated to assist with that if they're gonna ask for some of those questions. Most of the questions were very good. Things that I understand it would be good to learn more about, like drug use and bullying and vaping, and all of those things are very important. Suicide. But the questions about sexual orientation and gender identity don't belong in there. It's my viewpoint. Thanks.
Anyone else? Okay, well, we appreciate hearing, because we can't make it better without, right? So we do appreciate that, and appreciate you staying to the end of our agenda, where you could hear, so, thank you. All right, anything else? Upcoming meetings, February 24th is the board work session, February 26th personnel, March 12th policy, March 17th school board meeting. And so that's the only, what we have left on our agenda. And so what will happen now is we're going to be closing the meeting to the public to discuss labor negotiation strategy and performance evaluations. When we're finished with that, we'll reopen the meeting. I don't believe any other business will take place, and we'll immediately adjourn, so.
I do have one question. Is there policy on Wednesday? Because wouldn't policy fall on the 12th of February? I don't have it down. I don't remember if we decided to cancel this one because there wasn't.
We were skipping a
I think
Okay.
we were skipping them.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it's not in my calendar. It's not on the list. I didn't want to miss it. So.
Can I address that? With what you were saying, if we had, as a parent, now that we know what's on the survey, and I'm assuming from here on forth, those questions would probably be in that ballpark of those same questions, fair? From here moving forward, stuff about the bullying, stuff about the, is there a way that a letter would be sent out, like you were saying, that would just give a more of an open statement about what the survey is looking for? We are looking for stuff about bullying and drug use and sexual stuff to help with our community funding. And like you said, if you could be able to get an email or a text message the day of when, it sounds like you guys' hands were handcuffed. Hi, you got 48 hours to figure this out. Well, that's a little bit of crap that is not your fault.
We knew the survey was coming along.
But you didn't know
just
what
we didn't
really,
have
what was
access
it,
to
right?
And the letter did state those topics in
Okay.
general overview. I think moving forward, you didn't get that. I think moving forward it would be, here's the link to if they can share.
I doubt they're
those.
gonna provide it, but
Or
it would be
here's
nice.
the link to last
Yes, yeah.
year's questions, or well, it would be 3-year cycles, but you know, the link so
Right.
that you could see more detailed
little more
questions.
details.
And then parents are more informed and they can make the decision that's best for their family and their
Right.
child with that information.
Absolutely.
Maybe we
That's-
can ask Health and Human Services to give us a list of the programs that we currently have in the county
Even
that
if
come from
they
those
are
surveys.
gen-
That might be really nice for people to see too.
Even if they're generic questions. Hi, the questions would be something along this line. That would be great, you know, that would be awesome. But-
Well, there's a methodology with research, and
Yeah.
that's what, and
Right.
well, I mean, that's the term of what that is. So those are actually statements that would blanket the research.
Okay.
And then the outcome would come from that. So you have a methodology of what it is, and then the outcome of what you could expect to get out of it. That should be public data given
That's,
to us.
and that's all I
Yeah,
feel, that's
so-
why I felt we were
Yeah.
more blindsided, because I had no
Yeah, and
clue
it's
what
there.
the heck this is for.
So as I explained,
Why
I
are you
have
asking
one
these?
question for you.
You know,
Would you suggest that as a concerned parent, that we take it to the Department of Education ourselves
Yes.
as well?
Yeah,
Yes.
go for it. Yeah, I
Okay.
think so. I
Yes.
mean, you have public.
I don't wanna
Or
overstep.
the county, also to the county. You can
We
take
even-
it to the
we-
county. It's theirs.
We
They
went more than
need
that,
that
but-
information.
I would like to
And it's
thank you
not-
guys for hearing
I
us,
never
I
went
greatly
after
appreciated,
the
Dan has been
school
awesome with
has a
us.
problem, the school
Yeah,
has a problem.
this board's good to
More
work
than
on that.
why are these questions being asked of our students? Not why is the school allowing it? I don't blame the district, the teachers, the faculty, that's not what we wanted. If that was the information I gave, that's not what I wanted either, so.
And I can send it to you, there's on the MDE Minnesota Student Survey, I think if you search it, it'll bring you to a page with much of the information we shared, and you probably already have, but there is a link directly to, questions, concerns about the survey.
Okay.
And if you can't find it, let me know, I can email it to you.
Awesome.
Get it to
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much for hearing
Yeah,
us.
take care. Have a good night.
Wait, so we need to make a motion still, right?
Yeah, we'll wait till they step out.
To adjourn.
Yeah.
Or
To close.
Okay, is there a motion to close the meeting under Minnesota statute 13D.03 labor negotiation strategy and also 13D.05 subdivision 3A for superintendent evaluations?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Holly, is there a second? Second by Dawn, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with all members voting yes.